Well, here we are once again, floating somewhere between Earth and space, just trying to figure it all out. Got a hell of a lot for us to talk about here today, Space Fam, so I guess we better get right to it. As always, don't forget to buckle up those seatbelts, otherwise you might go floating off into that deep dark void we call space. Well, it is phenomenal to see you Space Fams here today. God, I can tell that we are having some audio issues right now still. I don't know what to do about it. I had it solved. I keep solving. I go live and it's not solved. And when I mean it's solved, I do test streams in my increasingly spare time in between failed streams. I'm not sure what to do about it. I'm gonna keep trying to improve it between streams, but I gotta keep streaming. I can't not stream. So I'm just gonna keep trying to push through it. I don't know what else to say. I'll do some shout outs first before we get to all this. It's of course Sunday Funday. Mike Toole, Donald Duck, and Christopher DeBlante123 in the YouTube chat. Sue Fairy Dust B, a close fourth. Choky also here. Frizla. Soul Life, HBX, Nightbot is also here. D-Derb, Hermit Horologist, I don't know who I shouted out. Either way, good to see all of you Space Fams here on this Sunday Fun Day. It's gonna be a weird Sunday since we haven't had a full stream all weekend. I started it, if you can't tell, 4 hours early. That is because I am planning on this being not a record long 12-hour stream, most likely, something close to that. It'll be full-on marathon stream here. At least that's the plan. Got a ton of content, not all Sunday Fun Day content. We are combining the week ending report, the stuff I had for Saturn Day, as well as some value-taining vids that I've been holding on to for Sunday Fun Day. It's gonna be a real mash 'em up of a stream today. Let's see. Let's start off in the United States. America! Fuck yeah! As we often do, but we're gonna start off with some Sunday Fun Day valuetainment type of stuff here. Massive crash outs according to the Hasanabi YouTube channel. What are these crash outs over? Could be related to Hasan's recent GQ events. Let's go here.
For those of you who don't know, GQ is a Rolling Stone style magazine that does like profile pieces, interviews, things of that nature. And after they had profiled the millennial Jon Stewart, Adam Friedland, they reached out to me as well and were like, well, we got to do the millennial Joe Rogan of the left, Hasanabi Piker. And I, of course, said, yeah. I mean, GQ is a big deal. This is a magazine that I read in Turkey, right? And I was very excited at the opportunity, and I took it. The article came out perfectly fine. The photos came out great. I am very happy with the process. The article starts with Hasan Piker thinks America might be cooked. Martial law, canceled elections. The combative leftist streamer Hasan Piker predicts an ominous possible future for the U.S. He's fighting back the only way he knows how, by raging against Trump, Israel, Democrats, and the wannabe bad boys of the manosphere, in between beefs with his ops and gym sessions with his boys. Articles by Kieran Press Reynolds. Photography by Molly Madeline. Here's how Hasan Piker starts each day. Working out, shooting the shit. It's Monday, 8:30 a.m., and we're in the backyard of a house in West Hollywood where there's a makeshift private gym with benches, pull-down machines, and dumbbells galore. This is where the 34-year-old political influencer keeps his thirsted-after body fit, joined by a few other neighborhood characters, including a guy who works on Pod Save America. His Bernie's beefcake, Kaya, tussles with a few other golden brown dogs. As Piker burns through his 70-minute work...
Hasan reading out this article about himself to his chat is fucking hilarious to me.
Joined by a few other neighborhood characters, including a guy who works on Pod Save America. His Bernie's beefcake, Kaya, tussles with a few other golden brown dogs. As Piker burns through his 70-minute workout, exhausting himself in the process, he strips his shirt off. An army of girls and gays, not to mention admiring looks maxers, would kill to be where I am now, next to Piker, as he pants in a pair of neon shorts with black Calvin Klein boxers poking out and the sunlight glinting off the sweat beaded on his chest hairs. I will say this. This dude's a great writer. He's a little irreverent in his tone, and he does something in this article that is like a little bit of a no-no, but journalists do all the time because they're under no obligation to listen to whoever the they're profiling. He's young, but he's a great writer overall, and I think a lot of people will. I'll get to the parts where I think a lot of people will probably take issue with, but it's not a piece at all. You guys are so stupid for thinking that. Anyway, Piker's trainers fib me out about how much he's bench pressing. 300 pounds, question mark, before the real number comes out, 175. His personal best is 285. The conversation among the 7 men and women grows increasingly unhinged. Jokes about semen retention exercises morphing into a discussion about which Hollywood plastic surgeon is least likely to kill you. The new meta is ballerina cups. Women only going for A to B to C cup max, Piker muses at one point. Meta is a gamer-derived term for state-of-the-art. Nick Fuentes is gay, he says at another, echoing a common attack on the far-right streamer. He definitely likes
You
cowboys,
are not funny.
he adds, referring to an infamous incident on one of Fuentes' streams, which we will not detail here. Groans, gossip, and athletic guidance fly from all angles. Good, Haas. Get taller. Face down. Ass up. Towards the end, Piker just starts describing how a chicken wrap he's been loving recently is very fibrous and bottom-friendly, leading another gym goer to tease him about his diet. Have I been having anal sex? No, Piker responds. I've always had nice poops. What a way to enter the conversation.
Wow.
175 was the beginning, okay? We were warming up. That's why it's 175 is what I was... is what I was pushing. I thought it was hilarious because it reminded me of the way my friends and I
Honestly,
talk over in our
I
face.
have not.
Travis
I'm not
Kelce, step
gonna
aside.
lie.
There's a new 6'4"
I have not watched. I have not watched this whole thing. I just watched part of like the very beginning of it. It's like, okay, I get the gist. I'll watch it with chat. This is not high stakes at all. But watching Hasan just go in on this, he's like, okay, look, chat, look, he's like over here trying to glaze himself up while reading the glaze up article that's about him in GQ. There's a little bit of narcissism going on. I feel like a little bit.
Also wet.
God damn it.
Has no filter. That's one reason he's the hottest left-wing political commentator online. His management team consists of one single guy named David. So he basically has no leash and answers to no one. Shouts out David. Shouts out to David, my manager, who is constantly responding to these inbound requests. I feel like this is a funny mention because it kind of shows that there is no like massive PR team or whatever the people speculate. And it's just like outlets reaching out and then, my manager responding. Anyway, every day, tens of thousands of people watch him dissect the news for 7 hours on Twitch. A typical stream involves him scrolling frenetically while clicking on links sent by fans in his chat, reacting to the latest viral clips and headlines, dishing with his viewers, and viciously sparring with haters. America deserved 9/11 is one of his most infamous wisecracks. When Rush Limbaugh died, Piker played a clip of a dancing crab in celebration and vigorously bounced around his room. Piker's one of a new breed of streamers like Aiden Ross and Sneeko who are shaping the worldview of kids who never watch MSNBC or read the New York Times. In this online mirror world, Piker is the himbo gateway drug, introducing a legion of kids to progressive ideals like Medicare for all. Now, the reason why a lot of people, I think, took offense to this is because of the mention of Aiden Ross and Sneeko, but those are, whether you recognize it or not, some of the most recognizable figures in the streaming space that engage with politics to normies. The only reason why he's that up is because they are relevant names.
It's a little disturbing, but Hasan's right about this. He's absolutely right. Aiden Ross, Sneeko, they have massive audiences. Whether or not they're deserved is a completely different conversation to have. But in terms of other voices in the politically adjacent streaming space for under 30s
in this sphere, not because he's saying I'm ideologically aligned with Aiden Ross or Sneeko. So once again, don't get your panties all bunched up, chatters, okay? This is a normal way to describe this process. And then there's Gaza. Young people across America are calling out what they see as Democratic politicians' complicity in a U.S.-backed war that is more and more widely being called a genocide as Palestinians starve. Republican support for the war has been taken as a given, although MAGA Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has broken rank. Piker has opposed Israel's offensive since the start. It's the online arena where the most progressive but also most right-wing ideologies are taking hold now. In this unshackled world animated by constant beefs, Hasan is hated by both the right and center. He's a demigod and a demon, a crusader for good and a parasite on society, an empathetic hero and a so-called terrorist sympathizer. He claims the FBI might be surveilling him. Haters say they want him dead. As political experts sound alarms about authoritarianism, he's fighting back, one expletive and brain rot-filled live stream at a time. I mean, this guy's a great writer. I can't believe you guys thought this was a f***ing hit piece. And also, this is one of the few instances in mainstream media where they are actively talking about my position on Gaza and my politics without like sheltering you from the truth. They're not just simply saying like Hasan is a Democrat and progressive and is, hot. They're not doing that. They just like the dude straight up put a lot of the things I said in there. So I'll take it. After the gym sessions, Piker, Kai, and I load back his black Mercedes-Benz and drive to his place, a large townhouse with a Suzuki motorcycle in the front and a slender pool in the backyard. Piker dips for a second to freshen up, leaving me to explore the house. Fan art litters the walls and TVs, hats, Trump Pest 2020, Jesus is my boss, Korea veteran, and Zyn containers are scattered around. A set of shelves contain a slew of books, including Noam Chomsky's Profit Over People, Neoliberalism and Global Order, Tony Tolatume's Mute's Incel Epic Rejection, and numerous volumes of...
The description of Hasan's abode is fucking hilarious. Zyn containers are scattered about the home. Fan art litters the walls.
Marvel, Naruto, and Death Note manga and comics. He isn't beating the socialist who owns commodities allegations, but his house feels more like the product of a nerd who would write anime swords and free public transportation in his house does someone obsessed with luxury excess. Piker suggests we chill in his studio, which is even more chaotically cluttered than the rest of the house. There's a shelf stacked with rare World of Warcraft collectibles, a basketball, and a vinyl record of rapper Osama Sun's Jump Out. One corner contains a colossal Labubu doll encased in plastic. Behind it, there's a cutout of Bernie Sanders' classic diva pose at the inauguration and a poster of Barack Obama with Queen Elizabeth II. Cameras and mics flank an intricate recording setup that could pass for the bank of security devices at a Westfield mall. Piker, who's put on a black merch t-shirt for the Shrimmer Valkyrie, sits across from me and slurps an iced coffee. As we talk, I sense that Piker wanted to hold the interview here so he could keep an eye on his screens. His stream doesn't start for an hour, but the chat's buzzing with fans impatiently waiting for him to log on. That's how unbearable you guys are, by the way. That like you're so unbearable in the offline chat that a journalist peeks over at the active offline chat that and he sees all of you going, he's live. I'm baiting. He's live. I'm not.
Wow. Hasan's undying feud with chat continues vicariously through a GQ article. My oh my, 21st century, getting weirder and weirder by the day. Hasan just coming after his chat. That's how bad you are, chat. Okay? You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself for having that thought.
Offline chat that a journalist peeks over at the active offline chat that and he sees all of you going, he's live. I'm baiting. He's live. I'm not baiting. He's actually live this time. Why isn't he live yet? And he sees that and he goes, wow, these guys are fucking insane. He's remarkably energized for a guy who just finished a punishing workout and spent the previous day playing basketball with influencer Ludwig Ogren and other friends. His team lost the first game, but came in clutch later on. I had to show these nerds what's up, he says, with a laugh. By the way, for anyone looking to get buff and clutch games like him, here's Piker's supplement stack. 1 espresso shot, pre-workout, 4 creatine pills, fish oil, I don't eat seafood, zinc, ashwagandha.
I love how the GQ Hasan glaze up includes, I mean, this is right on brand for GQ. Got a full-on breakdown of your favorite stars, diet and eating supplement routine and everything else.
I don't know if it works.
Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
I just take it. Minoxidil and finasteride. I'm technically on HRT, hormone replacement therapy. I have DHT blockers for hair loss that I've been taking for years now at this point. Zinc for the ropes. No, zinc is for sickness, no? I thought it was like for a healthy immune system. Is there a reason why you take creatine pills instead of the powder? Yes, and that is because I just don't mix it with anything. I just down it as pills. Piker grew up in Turkey, developing his leftist worldview against the backdrop of Prime Minister and eventual President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's regime. What is this? Silent G, that's funny. He moved to America, rushed to frat at Rutgers University, impressed girls, and Nepo babied himself into working for his uncle, Cenk Uygur, who owned the left-wing news network, The Young Turks. Piker went full-time streaming in 2020 and has since become the most popular political creator on Twitch with over 2.9 million followers. Bernie Sanders, AOC, and numerous other celebs have hopped on his stream. His work ethic is terrifying. In 2020, he claims he spent 42% of his time on camera, more than 10 hours a day. I'm an addict, he says. I've been an addict my whole life, so everything I do, I get addicted. Twitch streaming, working out, eating healthy. Piker describes his career as a protracted and so far largely unsuccessful effort to pull the Democrats to be more radical, to be actually progressive. This was my favorite paragraph in the entire article, by the way. Okay, I'm going to start it from the start. Piker describes his career as a protracted and so far largely unsuccessful effort to pull the Democrats to be more radical, to be actually progressive. While he's beloved by many leftists, he's often reviled by liberals, the centrists, whose views are largely reflected by the party leadership. This became especially clear after October 7 Hamas attack on Israel. You have a guy like me, name is Hasan, and I'm saying, no, you don't understand. Israel is still very much the responsible party for October 7, for like 75 years of brutal occupation and apartheid. And people were like, oh, you're a terrorist. Illegal. And that really hasn't gone away. Last year, Democrats first invited him to and then ejected him from the Democratic National Convention after he interviewed some delegates who were part of the undecided group protesting Israel's war in Gaza. I just eat it from both ends in that issue, he says. You're getting hate from the far right, and you're getting it from the liberals and the centrists and the institutions. So you just have nothing. You only have your community. You only have your grassroots backing. But in recent weeks, with videos of starving Palestinian children flooding social media, more Democrats are speaking out about the war. Piker won't give them credit for that just yet. I'm used to Democrats operating in this incredibly cynical way, he says. So I'm not surprised by this about face, if you can even call it that. Many people aren't even doing an about face. They're mostly just ass covering. Piker's also quick to call out his peers in the manosphere, saying that social media is putrefied into a hate-filled hellscape, worse than the subculture that gave rise to Gamergate, the coordinated misogynistic attack on women in the video game world that was an ignition point for the modern reactionary right. Hate-filled hellscape worse than the subculture that gave rise to Gamergate, the coordinated misogynistic attack on the women in the video game world that was an ignition point for the modern reactionary right. This rage chamber is thronged by far-right figures like Kate Weiss, Fuentes, and outwardly apolitical podcasters and streamers.
By the way, just trying to check the temperature on this situation with chat, 1 to 10. Just put a number from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. I assume there's not going to be any 10s because I can tell we're having some problems right now. And honestly, I just don't know what to do to solve it. And hopefully soon we won't have any audio problems around here. But from 1 to 10, how bad is the audio right now? Just so I can get a gauge where we're at.
Streamers like Milk Boys and Aiden Ross, who
There was just
fawningly interviewed Trump ahead of the election in 2024.
I did a test stream this morning, literally this morning, and this afternoon. Multiple test streams. I had multiple successful test streams, and when I decided to finally go live here, 6 o'clock, it's quiet. The sound is quiet. 10 equals good. 10 is the best. 1 is the worst. I see here there's some confusion about my system of ranking. It's quiet. Is it quiet? That's actually shocking to me because it's at a pretty high volume right now. Full volume over here. Although I'm not seeing the levels, so I trust you all. If it's quiet, it's quiet. Yeah, I did multiple successful test streams without any in between it. This earlier today, right? And then a few hours later, you know, I think the last one I did was at like noon or like 1 o'clock. So like 4 hours later, back to having these weird glitchy pops in the audio. Yeah, but there was no way I wasn't going to do a Sunday Funday stream. And I'm not going to end this. I'm just going to power through it today and try and figure it out tomorrow.
I call it vice signaling. These guys, whether they're real villains or not, are presenting themselves as bad people, and people like it. Piker says, nobody likes cancel culture, but goddamn, that shit was keeping motherfuckers in check. Of course, Piker himself is an edgelord too, eager to breach taboos just on behalf of progressivism. For example, he proposes Nuremberg-style trials for those in the media who he sees as taking part in a propaganda apparatus for the state. He says he told the Nelk Boys straight up that they should be tried. But, Piker continues, there are far more consequential, far more noteworthy figures that deserve to be put on trial than like the Nelk Boys. Specifically, he says, New York Times columnist Bret Stephens. Piker may be the product of an often irony-poisoned online space, but his defense of the Palestinians is pure and deeply felt, as it is among large swaths of Gen Z. So he was incensed when Stephens recently wrote that there is no genocide being committed by Israel. Literally 3 days after, like a Jewish-Israeli Holocaust scholar wrote a New York Times editorial saying it's definitely a genocide, Piker says. Bret Stephens came in hot and was like, no, actually, listen to me instead. On July 15th, Dr. Omer Bartov, a professor of Holocaust and Genocide Studies at Brown University, wrote a Times opinion piece headlined, I'm a genocide scholar. I know it when I see it. A Stephens column, No, Israel is not committing a genocide in Gaza, followed 1 week later. Piker may see mainstream media as propaganda, but he blames prominent online figures for actively suppressing criticism. He says many creators keep silent to avoid retribution. They're fearful of the mass doxing and hate raids they'll incur from some of the top content creators in the space right now. Piker is, for that reason, paranoid, and justifiably so. Sinking back into his chair, he says that years ago during a live stream he was swatted. Someone had anonymously sent SWAT team to his house. He was arrested, handcuffed, had a gun pulled on me, helicopters, he recalls. I heard something going on outside, and I was like, what the f*** is going on? Is dudes with AR-15s going, get the f*** out? Piker, it was widely reported, was also recently detained by Border Patrol when he returned to America from France. He says he was interrogated about his politics, especially as they relate to President Trump and Gaza. Yeah, I mean, this was the first time I openly revealed. This was in many houses ago. So I said it in the interview, long time ago. Of course, it's a constant issue for streamers, and I felt comfortable revealing this because it's been a long ass time, and also on top of that many other streamers.
Do people in the chat somehow not know who Hasan Piker is? Wow, I'm actually sort of floored. I'm almost jealous. But nah, I mean, I love Hasan. Hasan's great, but Hasan is, I mean, he's been around for. I'm shocked to hear that anybody doesn't know who he is. He started off TYT, like it was in the article that he was reading just now. But his uncle is Cenk Uygur. He used to do a segment for TYT like over a decade ago now, I think, or not, maybe not quite that long, but like a long time ago. He left to do his own stream on Twitch, which blew up, and he's now got millions of followers across platforms. Huge. He is what some people have called the left Joe Rogan.
Also personally revealed their experiences, but it's a super common one. And I'll tell you this much. When I was in a different, when I was in that 2-bedroom, for example, when I was away from the camera for extended periods of time, sometimes I wasn't cooking. That's all I'm going to say. You keep that secret for obvious reasons because, you know, sometimes the chair memes are not because I'm just away from camera for no good reason. Sometimes I'm the one getting cooked. Yeah, motherfuckers were like, wow, he's doing chair reacts. Meanwhile, I'm like getting handcuffed and slammed to the ground by cops, screaming at them, telling them do not enter the house because the cameras are on. And of course, you don't like. I've deliberately kept it a secret for a very long time because, and you will never see the cops because like you don't want to give anybody the satisfaction. You don't want to give anybody the satisfaction of like knowingly doing this and succeeding in doing so. So yeah, of course. I ate it for years and years and years and kept it a secret for years and years and years. It's just a normal part of the process, alongside death threats that I receive with regular frequency. Illegal. But there's a reason why many streamers keep that stuff a secret, because it creates copycats. Anyway, the incident led him to cancel a trip to Cuba, fearing that it could be used as an example of him visiting a state sponsor of terror. He's certain he's being surveilled by government entities. I've had brushes with federal law enforcement, mostly around the death threats that I receive, Piker says. But in those conversations, they elaborate further. They're very knowledgeable about who I am and what I do. Is it the FBI? I cannot confirm nor deny, he demurs. It's so funny that it's like me talking about getting swatted, me talking about like death threats, me talking to you know, members of law enforcement, allegedly the FBI, who knows? And then right underneath it is a picture of.
This is just so funny. I don't know what about it. What about it makes it just so? But it really is. It really is funny to me.
Of me naked in my bathtub. With a rubber ducky. While he's unfiltered and earnest while streaming, Piker has managed to keep his off-stream activities secret, refusing to air out his private life with friends or paramours the way that many of his peers do. So when I first arrived at his home in the morning, I was surprised to find his mom, Ülker, an art scholar, just chilling in the living room. She complimented me on my shirt and asked what it referenced. When I told her Drain Gang, the experimental Swedish music collective, Piker went into hysterics. During our interview, I try to squeeze out whatever intel I can find about Piker's romantic life, which is feverishly gossiped about on Reddit. I asked point blank if he's dating Valkyrie, the massively popular gaming streamer, and he looks freaked out. Oh, come on. Please don't put that in the article, Piker says. For obvious reasons, there is a lot of speculation on all of the female peers that I have in this space that I regularly have on stream, that people who have incredibly parasocial bonds with content creators routinely speculate on whether I'm romantically involved with them or not. Obviously, I don't want any sort of hate going their way. I don't want...
Has anybody here seen the Hasan romance Reddit? I personally haven't. This is the first time I'm ever hearing about it. But I am genuinely intrigued. Not in like knowing who, but like I'm just intrigued in level of intrigue over Hasan's romance and personal. You can only imagine what are contained in the posts on that.
The psychopathic haters that can go after these people, which is precisely why I will always spike when asked questions like this and say, I keep my private life private. Everybody knows I'm dating Austin. I don't entertain this stuff at all. And the reason is obvious, because people are incredibly vicious. Oh, come on. Please don't put that in an article, Piker says. I just want to keep certain things private. I don't even want to fuel speculations. Think of me as an asexual being. He plans on settling down eventually. I mean, I literally told him. I told him straight up before the interview as well. I don't talk about my private life. If you ask me like even names or anything directly, I'm not going to answer it.
You're on the Patreon app. Can you give a donation that isn't a monthly? Oh, no. You cannot do that on Patreon. I mean, you could just sign up for one of them for a month. But no, you cannot. No, unfortunately, that Patreon does not give the ability to do that. One-time donations, YouTube super stickers, memberships wouldn't are one time, but YouTube super chat, super stickers, as well as App and PayPal. Those are the ways to do a one-time donation. Appreciate you thinking of ways to contribute, though. Much appreciated.
And as he said, like, this is a common meta on Reddit, common speculation, but the reason why I will never confirm nor deny or just never confirm anything about my private life is because there are a lot of active psychopaths who literally go after every person that's on the stream, but especially women, including Cutie Cinderella, who was in an open relationship with another content creator, Ludwig. People literally speculate on that and go after them and literally constantly attack them viciously. I don't think that this is appropriate. They're an open like as in, guys, shut the f up. I mean public, okay? I don't mean like literally in an open relationship. I mean public relationship. Out in the open, okay? Out in the open relationship. God damn. Phrasing. That's it. That's the reason. Like, it could have been any name that this person brought up. The answer would still be the same, obviously, because it's not, there's a lot of people that I collaborate with that get like unfairly maligned and unfairly attacked and unjustly persecuted. There's stalkers out there, you know, and they do the same as I described here to all of the other people that are involved with me. He plans on settling down eventually, shielding his family from the noise generated by his fame as much as possible. It's definitely something that I want. Apparently. I would just keep it private. I would keep my child, potentially, if I were to have one, offline.
Very sexy.
The desire to safeguard his inner...
Very sexy. Hasan involved with multiple people. Austin and Hasan ship confirmed, says Christopher to Blonde. Yeah. Sure.
It makes sense given how many influencer overlords have Piker in their crosshairs. Maybe his most deranged beef this year was with Ethan Klein, the popular content creator, former co-host of their old joint podcast, Leftovers. The feud started over Gaza. Both call it a genocide, but Klein has called Piker a terrorist sympathizer, and Piker in turn has called Klein racist. This is the most favorable interpretation of Ethan Klein's behavior, for the record, who has both called it a genocide and not called it a genocide, uncalled it a genocide, and spends every waking moment attacking those who have called it a genocide with regular frequency, calling them racist. Anyway, the spat spiraled into online mayhem, sucking everyone in these creators' orbits into a vortex of toxicity. Klein will call you a token Jew after this interview comes out, Piker warns me. I did pay you $7 million to do this interview. Some have accused Klein of having a psychosexual obsession with Piker. He talks about my body and the way I look a lot, Piker says. I don't know why. Maybe it's low-hanging fruit for him. He was always a funny guy. He was never a big looker or anything. It wasn't part of his brand. So I never thought he cared about that sort of thing. But maybe after he lost the weight, his personality changed a bit. I genuinely don't know. Last time I talked to Ethan, he was fat. I mean, he still had his issues, but at least he was seemingly more empathetic. Now, this comes across like I'm fat shaming him,
it does.
But I was actually sectioning off like fat like Ethan as a separate entity than current Ethan, if you know what I mean. Intentionally, I wasn't like trying to fat shame him. I was just saying like that was
it's like reverse fat shame. It's like actually it's like skinny shaming. He's like, now that you're not fat, you actually suck.
Some people will say he was always that guy. I certainly was deluded and I was blind. Also, I didn't bring this up. He did, for the record. Like, the journalist did. I would not have brought up Ethan Klein on this profile if it were up to me. Anyway, the Klein fight reveals just how insular and incestuous the world of streaming is. These beefs and online personae are the substrate from which Piker, the streamer in person, springs. He texts with AOC sometimes, sure, but his close friends aren't campaign strategists and professional politicians. They're the creators he plays basketball with, like Ludwig, Buddha, and the video game speedrunners like Point Crow, and the influencers. By the way, I didn't say that these are like my best friends or whatever, okay? He asked me who I played basketball with, and I told him the names. Like, and then he just wrote it as though we're like constantly hanging out. Like, it's so funny. Point Crow's gonna be like, what the And the Influencers Goes podcast, Cutie Cinderella, Will Nev, and Austin show. You could visualize the streaming world as a series of lunch tables or loose clusters of collaborators like the AMP Collective and the FaZe Clan. This world of influencers is its own Hollywood with a distinct cast of A-listers and cult faves. Piker recently attended creator Tara Yummy's birthday party at the Roosevelt Hotel. A weird collision between old and new school celebrity where FaZe Adapt and Jason the Ween sidled up next to Miranda Sings and Love Island contestants. Indie Sleaze documenter Cobra Snake shot the photos. In LA, Piker likes to hang out with the Roomies, a gamer lifestyle streamer house run by people like Valkyrie Fuseli and Tina Kitten. When he's in New York, he socializes with professional media world friends like Adam Friedland and the other cheeky stars of Leftist Pause, Chapo Trap House, and TrueAnon. Piker's thoughts are so frenetic, I can't help but probe him on anyone and everything, like whacking a pinata to see what falls out. He denigrates Asmongold and ContraPoints, praises I Show Speed and Joshua Citarella, says the fact that I watch the surrealist YouTuber JReg means I'm fried. I test him on a scatter spray of media heroes and villains. Curtis Yarvin and Peter Thiel. Baby.
Okay. All right. That's it. I got through 2/3 of it. That's as much as I can take. But I do find it, honestly, I do find it to be fascinating that Hasan got this piece done on him over there at the GQ. Hey, but you got to do anything to remain relevant, and Hasan is what's relevant right now, which, you know, bodes well, I guess, for the future, at least in some small piece of meal fashion. Haha, get it? Fashion, GQ. Got jokes. Okay. Alright, before we move on to the next topic, so I don't forget, I'm going to start the chat goal. Hope the audio isn't terrible for everyone. I'm going to try and stop thinking about it the whole time. Okay. All right, let's go on to the next subject. Quickly talk about, maybe not that quickly, but quickly enough. Certainly not going to go into quite as much detail as we had been earlier this week, or at least trying to. It's a very blunderous week. Very frustrating. But let's talk about the DC federal takeover. Started off with, I think, the best federal takeover of DC. Sandwich Guy.
Like a fucking way! You bitch! Motherfucker! Oh! 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 It's fucking good! It's fucking good! He cooked him! He cooked him!
There you go. The hero that nobody knew they needed. Sandwich Guy. Trying to feed the police and the National Guard. viciously chased down by the very people he was trying to help. The hero of heroes.
There are armored vehicles driving through Washington, D.C. It's not a parade, at least not an official one. Let's start with this clip. Maybe folks have seen this. He's gone viral as the Sandwich Man. It turns out he is former Air Force, former DOJ. He was basically getting in the face of some of these occupiers of D.C., military occupiers of D.C.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
I mean, maybe stylistically people have an issue, but I think when you offer an officer like a cup of coffee or a donut or a sandwich, it seems like you're doing a nice thing. Apparently, they took issue with it.
How else do you get a sandwich at the wee hours of night?
Exactly. This is clip number 7.
I want to give you food. Are you hungry?
Really, Reno 911. It really is.
It is amazing. Come on!
They got like 7 guys running after him.
I mean, just a great sense of hospitality. That's DC hospitality for you. You gotta get food and drinks
clear.
for folks.
Well, it turns out they were obviously pretty upset because they had specifically requested their bread be toasted. And when the guy shows up, it's not toasted, you get pissed.
Illegal.
They charged him with a felony. And a judge threw it out, I guess,
Immediately, if not
last
sooner.
evening.
Yep. So apparently that, why is this reverb on? That's bugging me. Okay, there we go.
Immediately, if not sooner.
But yeah, apparently it was thrown out, but Janine Pirro announced those charges. She was incensed by the idea that anybody would assault a law enforcement officer, even though, of course, the president pardoned over 1,000 people who assaulted law enforcement officers on January 6th. Now, I just wanted to go here. Senator Mark Wayne Mullins had a fascinating take. Number of things in here I actually found fascinating from Mark Wayne.
Give me a joke.
Yes, well, you're going to give us a joke here in a second, Mark Wayne. Let's go here. It was on Fox News a few days ago. He reposted this clip to his channel, so you know he's proud of this. He and his team, they sat down, they said, wow, what a great appearance, Mark Wayne. We need to post this to your socials immediately.
Immediately, if not sooner.
So Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma is not in Washington, but he works there. Senator, do you believe that Chuck Schumer actually roams Washington, D.C. by himself, just thinking totally safe?
Zero chance. There is less than zero chance that Chuck Schumer even walks farther than just getting into his limo that he gets ushered around by his protective service detail. And let me tell you, he's not walking anywhere by himself. And he doesn't walk down the halls of Congress by himself. So there's no chance that is taking place. And we should be applauding President Trump for doing this. I mean, why wouldn't we want people from our states coming to the nation's capital and visitors from around the world come to the nation's capital and feel safe? And you can't. You walk the streets right now around the Capitol, it smells like you're walking into a pot farm because, I mean, it is just smells like pot everywhere. People are openly smoking. You have these mopeds running around with no license plates that just zip right in and out of traffic. You have homeless tents set up, but if you pull it, you come in through Union Station, setting out front all around the fountain. There's tents set up. They literally have shut.
Oh my God! So there you go, Markwayne Mullen. DC is overrun with the smell of marijuana and people on mopeds.
Help! Help! I'm being repressed!
Oh, Markwayne. Ah, yes. The scourge of mopeds and weed, which is legal in DC, I would point out. In DC, it's one of the places in the United States where you can't pay marijuana. I think they have recreational marijuana in DC, if I'm not mistaken. So two things that Markwayne thinks the National Guard needs to be brought into DC over are the existence of mopeds and the smell of marijuana.
Illegal.
It's Markwayne Mullen for you.
I don't want reality.
Now, Dave Weigel is down on the streets of DC reporting from the occupied Capitol. Went on to give a report.
Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland on the Majority Report. It is Casual Friday. I want to welcome back to the program Dave Weigel, author, journalist covering politics at Semaphore. Dave, welcome back to the program.
It's good to be back. I'm looking at my window at Occupy DC, which looks exactly like it did last week, but now it's safe.
I did. I don't know if you have a car or not, but do you drive around without a seatbelt on because you're worried about a carjacking?
Illegal.
No, because just statistically, you're more likely to be in a car crash than get carjacked. So why would I do that?
Oh, well, because you're obviously not.
You love crime. Material. It's because you love violent crime.
Virtue signaling over here.
Yeah.
Well, actually, let's play this clip right now because it's obviously because you're not a senator. And here's Markwayne Mullen revealing that he doesn't understand that dynamic of the chances of him being in an accident are far greater than being carjacked. Pop this up.
And by the way, I'm not joking when I say this. I drive around in Washington, D.C. in my Jeep, and yes, I do drive myself, and I don't buckle up. And the reason why I don't buckle up, and people can say whatever they want to, they can raise their eyebrows at me again, is because of carjacking. I don't want to be stuck in my vehicle when I need to exit in a hurry because I got a seatbelt around me. And I wear my seatbelt all the time, but in Washington, D.C., I do not because it is so prevalent of carjacking. And I don't want the same thing happen to me, what's happened to a lot of people that work on the Hill.
Markwayne wants to be able to get out of his car.
I mean,
as
isn't there something
as
so uniquely
possible
American
to give
about
his
buying a
car
Jeep, like a
to
big Jeep,
the carjackers
and being a real tough guy? Didn't he challenge?
What is happening?
Jeep, like a big Jeep, and being a real tough guy. Didn't he challenge, was it Sean O'Brien, to a fight on the Senate floor? But he's so afraid of seeing black people in D.C. that he can't wear a seatbelt. No! That's republicanism together. They're both incredibly tough, but also so weak and scared.
Well, I'm torn on the carjacking stuff because not his approach. That's silly, but there was a carjacking problem in DC that spiked a couple years ago. It still does happen. It happens sometimes.
Illegal.
We're not going to live Minority Report. You prevent all crime. The issue is just basically a procedural issue where the city raise the age for trying juveniles. A lot of juveniles were just recommitting this crime because they weren't being tried as adults, and the city already has been changing that. And so the goofy thing about this whole discourse, many goofy things, one is just that the city had been rolling back some of the reforms that they didn't have a press conference to say, sorry, we went too far. It has been getting better, but you do hear when this kind of take comes out that just there should never be any crime whatsoever in the city, which is hard to do. That sounds great. Very hard to pull that off. Being terrified of a city freezing, I guess that's human nature, but I why brag about it? That's just one of the things, that evolutionary traits in our brain, that we over worry about things that aren't likely to happen to us.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird that they're like having this strange sort of display of outright fear of something that is not there. Very strange. Now, this came out yesterday. According to CNN, the administration is agreeing to allow the DC police chief to remain in charge after a court challenge. What does wearing a seatbelt have to do with carjacking? I don't know. I mean, in my mind, what I'm imagining is Mark Wayne Mullen, somebody, comes up to the
Attorney General Pam Bondi has scaled back her
like,
order
hey,
on Washington's police department. She says Chief Pamela Smith is back in charge, but the city must still answer to the Trump administration. The change follows a federal court hearing where a judge made clear
so
that
he
DEA
jumps
chief
out of the vehicle and free of the vehicle so that the carjacker can have the vehicle quicker, more promptly. It's just Attorney
General Pam Bondi has scaled back her order on Washington's police department. She says Chief Pamela Smith is back in charge, but the city must still answer to the Trump administration. The change follows a federal court hearing where a judge made clear the DEA chief tapped to run the department
in charge, but
has
she has
no
to answer
power
to Trump.
to act.
Those are the completely contradictory statements. She's totally in charge, but she has to answer to the Trump administration. Huh?
What now? Alone. DC leaders call this a win for home rule, but the fight is far from over. With lawsuits already filed, sharp warnings from the police chief about the risk of a federal takeover. Here with me now is trial attorney Kelly Hyman. Thanks for coming in.
Great to see you.
Okay, that's all we needed that story. Now, what I found most fascinating about this story here, and it's not the contradictory statements in there, it was the next story that we have to go to, because while the Trump administration and Pam Bondi are saying that actually the police are in charge of Washington D.C., kind of. A very contradictory thing is happening, and that is more National Guard troops are going to D.C.
What now?
So if she's in charge, did the police chief ask for more troops? I don't know. I don't think she did.
Today, West Virginia's governor said he was sending up to 400 National Guard troops to Washington, D.C. at President Trump's request. They'll join soldiers already deployed with D.C. police on the streets of the district. The troops may be armed. That's a major shift that comes after the president deployed them to, quote, take back the Capitol, even as local authorities report crime falling in the area.
We're taking back the Capitol. The police are in charge, but we're sending more National Guard. Makes perfect sense if you don't think about it at all.
Here's Pete Hegseth on with Laura Ingraham, of all people, being asked the tough question of, like, what's going on here? Why, when and I'm being a little bit facetious, she doesn't bring up the fact that crime...
She does.
At its low, she does.
At one point, she does. I mean, I listened to a little bit.
What's happening to my video here?
Capital. But she was...
Here's Pete Hegseth on with Laura Ingraham, of all people, being asked the tough question of, like, what's going on here? Why, when and I'm being a little bit facetious, she doesn't bring up the fact that crime...
She does.
At its low, she does.
At one point, she does. I mean, I listened to a little bit of it. Capital. But she was a little more skeptical than I thought. We can see if I remember that correctly. But yeah, she's at the very least skeptical of what Hegseth is selling here.
President's call, but we're going to be there for him to execute as swiftly as possible.
Will the National Guard be detaining Americans on American soil?
Under Title 32, which is the authorization they'll be using, they have broad latitude, but they're not going to be involved in law enforcement functions. They will be standing right alongside our federal agents like they were in Los Angeles. They're going to be proactive. If you take an action or a shot at them, there will be a consequence. So they're going to be strong.
If a crime is being committed, in other words, and a National Guardsman sees a crime being committed, then what?
They can come alongside and assist law enforcement.
What if law enforcement isn't on
then they can
corner?
I will have their back to ensure they can take the necessary action to protect citizens of D.C. and to protect themselves. So there's no rogue law enforcement going on from the National Guard.
Well, pause it for a second. Wait a second. Is the issue that Pete Hegseth is going to stand behind his guys, or is it that posse comitatus, like they're not allowed to do this? We're not allowed to have
illegal
federalized National Guardsmen, in other words, federal soldiers, on the streets of a city making arrests unless it's explicitly to protect federal authorities in the process of doing their work. So it doesn't matter if he's got their back.
Ridiculous premise. On its face, it's a ridiculous premise to begin with, right? Which is what they're there for, supposedly. Like, which federal employees were under threat from doing their work? Big Balls? He could have kept doing his work. He didn't have to be a vigilante. He didn't have to try and fight a young girl and boy in the streets. Something that did not go well for him. He's the only example that I can think of a federal employee struggling to do their job. And I mean, I don't see how that instance even was... He wasn't in the commission of his own duties when that happened. He was acting as a civilian. So it's all very strange to me. It's not a great premise when you think about it. There's no the federal apparatus in DC was not under threat.
It'll be illegal.
Logic, yeah.
We're replacing the Constitution with common sense.
Exactly. It's called the Hexatution. Go ahead.
But there's also the application of common sense. We're not going to have National Guardsmen sitting there like this, seeing a crime committed and not do something about it. You can help somebody, interdict, temporarily detain.
Well, pause it. Wait.
See something, say something.
I mean, can we all be vigilantes?
Yeah.
Because if it is against the law for you to do that, then it's against the law for you to do it. It's no common sense. Common sense actually is you don't put soldiers in the streets of the city really in just about any circumstance except for an emergency And common sense also says that if crime is at a 30-year low last year and it's down 26% from that 30-year low, common sense would say we don't need the National Guard there. In fact, we don't even need the 120 FBI agents walking around making God knows what they're making, trained in something completely different, walking around the beat at night.
Right. I mean, well, also, I think you were right. I confused you with that Fox and Friends.
By the way, I wonder how much more it costs to pay federal FBI agents to walk the streets rather than the cops who are supposed to be there. I just wonder. Doesn't sound very efficient.
I don't think Laura Ingraham brings it up, but they brought it up in Fox and Friends just to hand wave it away to say, but it's not people's lived experience.
Well, yes, a barista, I know, said something different. So.
But what, like, it's just, wasn't Hegseth just talking about how the troops are too feminized and that they need to be killing machines, basically? It's just interesting now that they basically have them on UN peacekeeper duty and that they're not like allowed to do anything, but we're deploying these so-called newly masculine hyper-killing machines to the streets of DC.
And hand over to law enforcement. Those are the types of things the National Guard can be trained to do.
Do you guys have buy-in from any local officials in DC? I'm not saying you need it, but you can see where it would be helpful. Faith-based leaders, community leaders. Bowser, I think, is trying to walk a line there.
People
She's probably
who
the best mayor DC has had.
Supported, perhaps, what they're doing. Interesting. I'm not a big Laura Ingraham fan, but she might be onto something here. Does anyone actually support what you're doing?
How are you saying that? Because she's actually better than, I think, most mayors for the last 25 years in D.C.
I think she's walking a line of, as we talked about a little bit before the show, she understands the obvious. She understands the citizens of D.C. are sick of this kind of environment. I think they're waiting for, if given an opportunity to resist the thugs and the gangs and the criminals and the drug dealers, they want the alternative. So I think the vast majority of D.C. folks, they may not want to say it, especially if they're a left of center, but under the breath and quietly, they would welcome a peaceful city where their friends and families can come visit.
And they very quietly support you.
Homeless tents.
Oh, pause it, just in case you didn't follow. You don't have to take it down. Leave it up there. Just in case you didn't follow his response. The answer is no. There's been no buy-in by any leaders in D.C. except for people secretly.
Yes, the secret supporters. People secretly supporting the fascist takeover of DC. They're not saying it out loud, but oh, they're thinking it. Oh, they are thinking it very hard right now. Okay. Let's go here. Talk about protests that have been ongoing, fighting the Trump takeover. Here in the United States, CBS Evening News from 23 hours ago.
Tonight, efforts by Texas Republicans to redraw the state's congressional maps got new pushback from protesters at rallies across this country. Nearly 280 events in 34 states, according to organizers. CBS's Manuel Bojorquez is in Dallas tonight with more on what is at stake. Manuel.
Jerika, good evening. The protests cap a nearly 2-week-long standoff in which Democrats who left the state were threatened with fines and arrests.
When our rights are under attack, we need life back. They called these Fight the Trump Takeover rallies in several cities across the country, here in Dallas, to Austin, to Los Angeles. They protested plans by Texas at the request of President Trump to redraw its congressional maps.
Don't mess with Texas. Don't mess with our districts.
Protesters object to the plan
If
that
you
could
notice,
give
though, if you look at
Republicans
these
5 more
signs-
seats in Congress ahead of next year's midterm elections. What's your message today?
Our message is that when our rights are under attack, we have to stand up and fight back.
Then there will be a check.
Please shut up, Beto. If you look at the signs back there, a lot of that, there was pretty varied messages on those signs. It's just a lot of general discontent with the Trump administration. From the redistricting to Alligator Alcatraz, among others. Also, I want to remind everybody that we do have a galactic deficit financing goal, the GDF. Galactic deficit financing. Yes, indeed. And you can contribute to both the galactic deficit financing goal and the galactic content goal at the same time by going on to Cash App or PayPal, becoming a galactic patron over on Patreon. All those things count towards the galactic deficit as we get that money immediately, if not sooner.
Immediately, if not sooner.
Unlike our payments from YouTube. 2 for 1 for your money, though. You can contribute to both goals simultaneously. Also, there's some amount of money I have to add to this. I can't remember the exact number, but I need to add some amount to this because we were financing, trying to fund the internet payment earlier, a couple days ago. Was it yesterday? No, it was Friday. Friday, and we got enough donations that some amount is I'm just gonna put that towards the galactic deficit, since we raised more than we needed. All right, let's talk about the state of education in the United States. Kyle Kulinski over at Secular Talk has some inkling of what PBS is about to be replaced with.
All right, guys, so this story here is a kick in the ass if I've ever seen one. So as you know, the Trump regime decided we are going to defund the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and a lot of the funding for NPR and PBS goes through there. And you did have, one of them came out and said, like, hey, man, we're basically going to shut this bitch down because we don't have the money to be able to keep going. So really, he's waging a war on public broadcasting in general. And that's fucking horrible. I mean, some of the best stuff that we see on TV here comes from public broadcasting. Of course, I mean, obviously you had, like, Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, like the children's programming. But you also have, like, PBS Frontline, for example. They have some of the best documentaries around. And all this stuff, you know, they're waging a war on this stuff, and they're trying to make it go away. Donald Trump would like every single outlet to be like Newsmax or One America News Network and sing his praises 24/7, right? Like, this is what he wants. And so this would leave a void out there. Getting rid of PBS, NPR, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, that would leave a massive void out there. Well, look at this from More Perfect Union. Guess who's going to fill that void? The White House is partnering with PragerU. The conservative, biased education company is already making AI content in a series launched with the Trump administration. And new reporting suggests the White House could be eyeing PragerU as a substitute for PBS. So replace
there's so
an
many
outlet
things wrong with
that
this
does
story.
genuinely great work, that teaches good values to the kids that
like, there's so many
it gives
things
a
wrong
shit
with
about
this story.
facts and
Like,
truth when it
where
does
do you
news
even
coverage.
Start? Like, where do we even start on this? Like, first off, I mean, PragerU's content to begin with is complete and utter garbage. It has been since the very beginning of it, many years ago. Then you talk about PragerU unleashing AI. There's a great way to have Mecha Hitler show up real quick. I mean, my God. And then you're going to replace actual educational broadcasting with blatant AI propaganda. No way for that to go wrong. The video lagging right now? I didn't even notice it. That's annoying as shit.
That actually gives a shit about facts and truth when it does news coverage, right? Replace that with a complete biased hack outlet like Prager University. This is terrifying, y'all. This is terrifying. So just to put in perspective for you how crazy this really is, okay? Look at this. Here's just one example of the stuff that they try to teach to kids at Prager University. This is their Christopher Columbus talking about slavery, and listen to what he says.
Slavery is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? Before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal?
This is the stuff they say. Hey, who are we to judge, bro? Who are we to judge with our modern values looking back? Like,
what
are we really going to say
premise.
categorically that slavery is bad?
What a premise to present children. Hey, being a slave is better than being dead, right? It's 2025. It's not 1400, okay? Teaching this like it's somehow like this is such ridiculous garbage. Holy shit. Happy Mew. Getting us started on the galactic content goal, breaking the ice with a sweet, sweet super chat. I'll blast this off. Fire emoji, rocket emoji with little boost to your funds. Thank you. Much appreciated, Epimew. I do see it. It's lagging. I see what people are talking about. The lag is real. That's hella annoying.
Wrong. Are we really going to do that? It was no big deal at the time, bro. Everybody was doing it, bro. This is what they want to teach kids. This is what they want to teach kids. I got more for you. So here is the Frederick Douglass of PragerU, and look at how they discuss race issues.
Children, our founding fathers knew that slavery was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country. The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it. Leo is correct. The big problem.
This ahistorical garbage. It's disgusting. Pro-slavery content. Fuck democracy, says PragerU.
But the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great, the making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it. But Leo is correct that big problems need to be approached very carefully. Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No. Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah, we've got that type in our
Christ.
time. So, you're trying to work for change inside of the American system.
Precisely, Layla. Our system is wonderful, and the Constitution is a glorious liberty document. We just need to convince enough Americans to be true to it.
So that was a sly dig there at BLM, right? But also
Not
they're
that
attacking
sly.
the idea that, you're a hardliner against slavery because, you got to compromise. You got to compromise on this stuff. This is what they want to teach, bro. How about this? DeSantis in Florida, this was from 2023. They approved classroom videos from PragerU compare climate activists to Nazis.
Yeah, and suggesting that Frederick Douglass was somehow an advocate for giving slave states more representation than like this is a bullshit ahistorical garbage that is being spewed out by PragerU. Nothing. It doesn't shock me because I've seen enough PragerU stuff in the past. But Jesus Christ, to think that they're gonna try and replace PBS with this shit. I mean, what does that even mean? Replace PBS? It's something I just want everybody to think about. What does replace PBS mean? Does that mean they're going to give PragerU public funds instead of PBS? Because that's just a blatant. That's like just a blatantly. What's the word? Like they were claiming bias. They were claiming that PBS, NPR, they're woke liberal institutions. They're too. Why can't I think of the words right now? They're too partisan, right? But doing that is the most partisan possible thing you can do. Would be to fund PragerU. NPR and PBS are not blatantly leftist. There's plenty of times where they frame things in ways I don't agree with. They're not a propaganda outlet for fucking Karl Marx or something. Like but PragerU is absolutely a propaganda outfit intended to launder specific narratives for the Republican Party. Unfortunately, that job is just going to keep getting easier and easier as stories like this continue. Here's PBS NewsHour from yesterday. Dozens of rural newspapers shutting down. And latest disappearance of local journalism.
Dozens of communities across 5 Midwestern states are now left without a local news source, and the journalists who served them are suddenly out of work following the abrupt shutdown of a regional newspaper chain. Stephanie Tsai has more.
Facing deep financial troubles, News Media Corp has decided to shut down 23 news operations, 6 in Wyoming, 7 in Illinois, 5 in Arizona, 4 in South Dakota, and 1 in Nebraska. The closures by the Illinois-based company are just the latest in a trend, contributing to growing news deserts in rural America. Over the past 2 decades, more than a third of the nation's newspapers have disappeared. For more on what this means for the future of local news, I'm joined by Terry Finneman, journalism professor at the University of Kansas and co-author of Reviving Rural News, Transforming the Business Model of Community Journalism in the U.S. and Beyond. Terry, thank you so much for joining the NewsHour. I understand that you previously partnered with one of these newspapers in South Dakota, the Brookings Register. The Brookings mayor said that paper is irreplaceable, a town of 25,000 people who needed this local newspaper. Can you talk about the role of a paper like this in a small town like Brookings?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely critical.
There's a reason that when this part of the United States was settled, a newspaper was one of the first businesses that was established. It made you a real town to have a newspaper. It is a central place in the community, especially in a time when the nation is so divisive. A newspaper is really that central place to get information about your community that nobody else is covering, to learn what's going around you, to be covering your government for you, to be covering when your school wins the homecoming game. Those things are really important to community identity. And so when you lose your newspaper, especially out of the blue with absolutely no warning, it was just absolutely shocking to this community and the others for that to happen.
Yeah, I was reading that one of the
Jesus
newspapers in
Christ.
Page, Arizona had been open for 150 years. And a lot of these papers are called the newspapers of record, meaning they not only cover local news, they are where public notices are to meet legal requirements. What happens when those...
You know, I was fine with dealing with the bad audio, but now we are having white laggy buffer circles, no video. This is terrible. This is way worse than I was expecting it to be. I just had a perfectly fine test stream. Multiple this earlier today, and now this. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I don't know what it is. It's like if I have the intention of actually doing the stream, it's fucked up. If I'm just doing a test, it's fine. I have no idea what the culprit of this is, but it's really pissing me off. Alright, well, I closed the soundboard. I want to keep the stream going. I don't want to end it. So, we're gonna have to go without sound shots. Let's try and rewatch this story about news deserts.
Across 5 Midwestern states are now left without a local news source, and the journalists who served them are suddenly out of work following the abrupt shutdown of a regional newspaper chain. Stephanie Sy has more.
Facing deep financial troubles, News Media Corp has decided to shut down 23 news operations, 6 in Wyoming, 7 in Illinois, 5 in Arizona, 4 in South Dakota, and 1 in Nebraska. The closures by the Illinois-based company are just the latest in a trend, contributing to growing news deserts in rural America. Over the past 2 decades, more than a third of the nation's newspapers have disappeared. For more on what this means for the future of local news, I'm joined by Terry Finneman, journalism professor at the University of Kansas and co-author of Reviving Rural News, Transforming the Business Model of Community Journalism in the U.S. and Beyond. Terry, thank you so much for joining the News Hour. I understand that you previously partnered with one of these newspapers in South Dakota, the Brookings Register. The Brookings mayor said that paper is irreplaceable, a town of 25,000 people who needed this local newspaper. Can you talk about the role of a paper like this in a small town like Brookings?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely critical. There's a reason that when this part of the United States was settled, a newspaper was one of the first businesses that was established. It made you a real town to have a newspaper. It is a central place in the community, especially in a time when the nation is so divisive. A newspaper is really that central place to get information about your community that nobody else is covering, to learn what's going around you, to be covering your government for you, to be covering when your school wins the homecoming game. Those things are really important to community identity.
Oh, I'm pissed off, chat. They still have no video. Dude, I'd changed nothing between my test stream earlier today and now, and yet this is what we have. So I'm gonna have to end the stream. I don't know what else to do. This is no way to do a stream. Just to have no video, have all audio. Might as well just do an actual podcast. Just do an all audio version of the Galactic News Network at this rate. Oh, this is very, 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 very bothersome to me. And I'm sure bothersome to a lot of people who come to expect this show on a relatively regular frequency. I'd like to apologize to all of those people that I'm thinking of right now, who I see in this chat on a regular basis. I'd like to apologize for not being able to get this running like I should be. And for blunderously thinking that I had solved things when I clearly haven't solved them. I feel like, you know, maybe I'm rushing to declare it solved because or maybe I'm not, I don't know. But you know, I have to keep the stream running, otherwise I can't pay the galactic bills. I've set up my life to expect this to be at least enough to, at the very bare minimum, pay. You know, keep me from being homeless, essentially. Screw the video. Sound is working fine. But yeah, I know the sound is working fine, but it's no longer a stream anymore. It's just sound. I can't. I cannot continue this way. You know, this has to be palatable to everyone. and that's not a good way to find new viewers, by having nothing to view on the stream. So I'm gonna have to end it. I fucking hate to say that. Like, this, like I started 5 hours early today on purpose, because I wanted to do this stream so goddamn bad. Maybe in the next 2.5 hours I'll solve it. I'd love to think that in the next 2 hours I'll find a miracle solution to this. Pray to Gary, everybody who's watching right now, or to whatever god you hold in esteem, for guidance on this solution, because I'm running out of patience on this. It's really starting to bother the fuck out of me, and so I'm starting to lose it. I'm starting to lose it.